that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, in the long list of Star Wars projects that got announced and then faded away, probably my most anticipated one was Patty Jenkins's Rogue Squadron. Remember that? They did the big thing where they went out to an airfield to make the announcement, and she was literally on an airstrip. And as she walked away with an X-Wing fighter outfit, they revealed a huge 1-to-1 scale, life-size X-Wing fighter on the tarmac. That got me excited. I thought, yes, bring the wars back to Star Wars. You know, I just thought it sounded fantastic. I was excited about it. Yeah, we just had Wonder Woman 1984, and that wasn't so good. But guess what? Prior to that, she did the biggest hit overall for the DCU or DCEU when you're talking about how it hit with the critics, hit with the fans, hit with the box office with the first Wonder Woman. Oh, and by the way, she did this other little movie that won Oscars with Monster. She's a terrific director. Wonder Woman 1984 was terrible, but that was her bad day at the office. So I was all for it. I'm very excited about it. And then it, poof, just disappeared, went away. Now, about a year ago, somebody made the suggestion, you know, it's like, you know, it's not dead. I remember we talked about that, Rob. Somebody said, oh, it's not dead. And we were like, no, it's dead. It's dead. But they were saying, no, I mean, it's not in development or anything, but it's not dead. Well, a new report has just come out that apparently is coming from Daniel RPK, which again, Daniel RPK is a little hit and miss, but he gets some things very, very right. Not everything, but some things he does. Enough of a record that you at least got to pay a little bit of attention to it when he says something. Well, this came up. Patty Jenkins's Rogue Squadron is reportedly back in development. Now, I need to say right up top here, this is not coming from the Hollywood Reporter. It is not coming from Variety. It is not coming from Deadline. It is not coming from Entertainment Weekly or The Wrap or any of the other major trades. This apparently was something that Daniel RPK allegedly reported in his Patreon to his subscribers that Rogue Squadron, he's hearing Rogue Squadron may be back in development. There's two separate questions here to ask. Number one, if it's true, what do we think about it? And then number two, the bigger question, is it true? Let's assume for a moment, just for the sake of the conversation, okay? So just for now, let's live in a world where it's true.
In a world
where truth doesn't exist anymore. Anyway. So I'm all for it. I'm all for it because nothing has changed from when they first announced it and my initial excitement. Nothing materially other than the fact of its, inability to come to fruition, but nothing has changed. I love the idea of a movie about the warriors that head off on the behalf of the Republic or the Rebellion or whatever you want to call them. I think Patty Jenkins can do something really great with it. Again, Wonder Woman 1984 notwithstanding, but she's proven she's a very talented director. Then her story that she gave about her family's connection to the Air Force and all that kind of stuff. Everything about this checks a lot of boxes for me. So would I be down for this? Absolutely, I would. 100% I would. So I love the report. I would love for this to happen. I want a Patty Jenkins Rogue Squadron movie. All right. Let's move on to the second question. Is it true? Unfortunately, I do not believe that it is. Now, let me be clear. I don't have any inside information definitively claiming it's not. I am speaking as a fan, okay? In my opinion, looking at the landscape, I don't think it's true. I've seen and heard nothing that even remotely suggests they're going to go back to one of their dead projects in Rogue Squadron. I haven't seen anything that backs that up. But more importantly, with Sean Levy and Ryan Gosling now doing Starfighter, that sounds a lot like a Rogue Squadron kind of thing, at least in principle. And so what would be the point of doing a Rogue Squadron if you're doing Starfighter with Sean Levy and Ryan Gosling. I just don't see that being a place. So could it be true? Of course it could be, right? I'm not sitting here definitively telling you guys this is absolutely not true, but I don't believe it's true because it just doesn't fit with everything we've seen so far. And I just don't understand how you would develop a Rogue Squadron movie when you've already got a Starfighter movie coming. So I'm saying I would love it, but I don't think it's real.
Guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, PrizePicks. What a great time to be a sports fan. Basketball playoffs are on. Hockey playoffs are on. It is the perfect time to jump into the action with PrizePicks, the easiest and most fun way to turn your sports knowledge into real winnings. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made really simple. Just pick more or less on a few player projections, like points, assists, goals, and you can win up to 2,000 times your money. For example, this week I've got Jalen Brunson for more than 24.5 points, or Jason Tatum for more than 6.5 rebounds. I love how fast and easy it is to lock in a lineup in just under a minute. Plus, they've got a couple of weekly features, like, for example, Flex Friday. If your lineup doesn't win, you get your net losses back in promo funds. And every Tuesday, check out Taco Tuesday for discounted player projections up to 25% off. So download the app today and use the code Campea to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Campea to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. Run your game.
Rob, 2 questions for you. Assuming that the report was true, what would you think about them getting this Rogue Squadron movie back in development? And then number 2, do you actually see a way that this is true? How do you see it?
Well, okay, first of all, one of the interesting things about these Disney movies, and knowing the way studios work, they announce these projects. When the projects have been announced, it's because they already have some kind of a direction, some kind of a take. And Patty Jenkins, obviously, her father coming from a flying background, so they kind of knew what they were going to do. Obviously, there was a series of books called Rogue Squadron. So when it was scrubbed, it was always interesting to me that when studios stop projects, they never really die, John. Some kind of iteration of these things sticks around. I mean, I can't tell you how many iterations of certain movies they had before they actually made them. So on this, I find something interesting about this report. They're making a movie now called Starfighter, singular. And when we heard about this project at Tokyo at Star Wars Celebration, they talked about how deep they were already into pre-production on it, that it was going to start soon. Doesn't it start shooting next month or something?
Yeah, start shooting in September.
So excited. In September. So
excited.
Here's the thing. Rogue Squadron is a movie, assuming you go by a title, that it's about more than one fighter. So what if they have developed, the reason that this other movie is going back into development is because it's a sequel. And they're building a trilogy because we've always complained that there was no plan. But I could see that if they're happy enough with this Sean Levy, I mean, it kind of came out of nowhere, this Starfighter project. So for whatever reason, Sean Levy and Ryan Gosling, coming on the heels of Project Hail Mary, they've got what is a pretty hot property. Sean Levy coming off of Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this Rogue Squadron property is not the sequel to Starfighter and they have a trilogy planned. That's where I could see it coming from, because they had already used this development. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. I have no clue. But if Ryan Gosling is spearheading a trilogy, that's a pretty good bet. In terms of having something viable, and they've needed to fix Star Wars. It's been moribund on the big screen for 6 years. And so that's the only thing I could see in terms of making sense, that they're developing about a single guy. You make a movie, it's Iron Man 1. You concentrate on one man, and then the next movie he leads a squadron. Maybe?
It's possible, but that would mean retrofitting Patty Jenkins's Rogue Squadron to be a sequel of something else. Also, I don't know that I agree that just because it's called Starfighter, that means it's only one Starfighter.
Right, I know, but it's
right?
if it's about one guy.
Still,
I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying.
I don't think it's about one. I think it's. I mean, in as much as Top Gun Maverick is about Maverick, but you still had a squad of fighters,
Sure.
right? And a squad of fighter pilots. I mean, I don't know. Maybe,
But it was about the birth
maybe not.
of new,
But
you know.
But let's go into your second question, though. Do you think this is real? Why or why not?
Well, that's I was trying to give you an example about why it could be real. On
Right.
the other hand, do I think it's real? Probably not, for the very reasons that you stated. Because if they already have a Ryan Gosling, Sean Levy new Starfighter franchise being launched, and they do, why would they go back to previously existing material? But I can't help but think, like, when they went back and made Die Hard 2, for instance, Die Hard 2, they took an old script that they developed called 58 Minutes and turned it into Die Hard 2. Die Hard 3 was a script called Simon Says that they retrofitted into a Die Hard sequel. And those worked out very, very well. And I would say that in the case of this, if you're developing, and if you already had a script that was pretty good, I mean, they went out and shot that promo with Patty Jenkins. So they were pretty squared away thinking this is a good property. And so if it was, maybe they can see that there's an opportunity here for a sequel. They could make, if the script was viable, they could make a movie a year.
The only pushback I give on that is I feel like Sean Levy is he edges towards the auteur. And I do feel like he's going to want to focus on a script that he has more control on, not just something he's retrofitting.
Well, it
That's
didn't say that
pushback.
Patty Jenkins is coming back, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but I got to assume it would. I got to assume it would probably include her. But you're right. I mean, they could bring back Rogue Squadron and not bring back Patty Jenkins, even though it sounds like the entire.
Look for a way forward,
Sure. I bet the problem, though, is, of course, that when we go back to that announcement of her on the runway, the whole project was really revolved around her. That whole project came from her and her passion for fighter pilots and her family connection and all that kind of stuff. It would seem odd to now do it without her. But Rob, there are many examples in Hollywood when a project started with one connected, passionate filmmaker, and then 5 years later it ends up being done by somebody else. So it certainly wouldn't be the first time it would happen.
No.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? The report going around right now, again, keep this one firmly tucked into the rumor category, but is that they may be trying to develop Patty Jenkins's Rogue Squadron again. The two questions to you. Would you like the idea? I would. But do you think it's real? I don't. Maybe you think differently. Whatever you guys' thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.